Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is Thursday night. It is time for revolutionary change. I'm Jen Perelman. Other
I'm
way.
Peter Hager. Other way?
I'm on the other side. Yes.
But I'm actually in the position that
you brought me into the room first before.
Right.
That's why.
So that way?
Uh-huh. That's me.
Okay, cool. Well, anyway,
you're
nice
there.
to see
No,
you.
you're there.
Jen, do you have pigtails?
I do.
Are you in a good mood today?
I'm in a decent mood. I was actually at Abraham Lincoln's birthplace today. Oh, she's back.
Well, you're not allowed to be in a good mood now. That's not allowed anymore.
Mm.
I actually did one of my favorite things today. It's been a crazy day. I'm actually helping manage one of the Airbnbs that we have. But I did manage to make me one of my favorites, which is lentil soup in a crock pot. And so it came out really delicioso. So I'm happy. I'm happy to be 6 feet above ground. How's that?
I suppose. I'm way higher. Let me tell you, the rolling hills of Kentucky is a thing.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's very beautiful. And guys, we're already off to a pretty solid. Guys, we're off to a pretty solid start. Got 170 of you in here already. Smash that like button. Let's get this out to as many people as possible. It's these small moments that, we often take for granted, but I think in times like this, we're reminded of the little things. So I guess that's probably an interesting place to start. We haven't done a post on social media as of yet, but we will soon. You were able to visit the birthplace of arguably our greatest commander-in-chief today.
If you say so. I was the historical stuff was really cool. So if anybody knows or doesn't know, it's kind of like it's not a very visited place. It's in this little town, probably over an hour from Louisville. And it was the birthplace of Abraham Lincoln. But what they did was they built a monument around the cabin. So the cabin is actually inside the monument. So you go in and the entire cabin is in there. It's really cool.
Well, I've been to Lincoln's burial site in Springfield, Illinois. That is quite a museum, to say the least. And it does go up right against Route 66, which is the Mother Road, place that I would personally like to drive one of these days. If I was crazy enough, I would do it on a motorcycle, but I don't think that is. You would tell me I'm nuts to even consider something like that. So
I would say that you're stupid. I would say.
Well, Jen likes to call them donor cycles. That is
donor cycle. Yeah.
Donor cycles. So the reason I bring this up, which is a fairly reasonable transition, is when you showed up at this historic site today, you noticed that the American flag was flying at half mast, and I had to explain to you why that was the case.
I thought that I got there and I saw that the flag was at half staff, right? So I thought, would it be really? Because why? And I even am loath to use the term assassination, but somehow that makes it more martyry, I guess. But yes. Apparently, all the flags at all the federal offices, we actually had to pay people to lower the flags to half staff because someone was murdered.
Yeah, we see
that isn't a server in our military, hasn't served in our military. I don't understand. Like, why would we do that? Other than that's like who Trump wishes was his son instead of Beavis and Butthead.
Well, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, or however that saying goes, but
I will. And actually, I'll quote my aunt: "If you have nothing good to say about the dead, say nothing. They're dead. Good."
Well, Charlie did bear quite the resemblance to Butthead. He just had that look.
Well, I'm talking about the other two, his actual children. But
yes, but I am referring to well, like you say, if you don't want him to look like Beavis and Butthead, he actually had a kid that happened to look just like that. As I said, it is what it is. I obviously covered it at length yesterday, but of course you are here now. I wanted you to join yesterday, but of course you wanted to probably get some thoughts, behind you in terms of how you wanted to talk about this. On the one hand, I have seen a lot of people celebrating his death. There are obviously also on the flip side a lot of people mourning his death in ways that are disturbing. They speak of like he was this incredibly impactful person that did so much good for humanity. And what I asked people yesterday, especially since, they were several, Kirk supporters in the chat, I said, what exactly did Charlie do to give back to humanity? What was unique about him and what he did that made him special? That he was such an important person. I mean, listen, like I said, I'm not here to condone what happened. We have many thoughts as to why it did, but the one that keeps popping up to me is you look around at everybody, and especially what you would consider to be, I guess, the Israel First right, the ones that are begging for censorship, the ones that are already calling out everybody. I mean, again, either you believe in free speech, either you believe in our constitutional rights, or you don't. And listen, I'm a constitutional absolutist. Like, I believe in our founding document. I believe that it must be protected and sacred, and that includes not just the First, Second, and Fifth Amendments, but also 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and so on.
Okay, do you want me to talk in this conversation in any way, or are you going to pontificate? Because you could do that without me here. I'm just asking.
That's pretty rude of you to say.
No, I'm serious. Like, I mean, you already went over a lot of this last night, and it's like you're going on about, like, what is it? What point are you making about him being dead?
I'm not making any point, Jen. Have the floor. I'm not talking.
No, I just want to know. I just want to see where you're going with this. I'm trying to follow where you're going. It's like all over the place. I want to just be very clear. I want to be very clear that I'm completely ambivalent about Charlie Kirk getting killed. I don't give a shit one way or the other. That's how I feel. I think that his existence was a net negative on this planet. So I'm certainly, I'm not crying about that for any means, but no, I don't. I'm completely ambivalent. I don't give a fuck. However, I do believe it's poetic justice that somebody who is so gung-ho about gun death being acceptable because it preserves the Second Amendment, like, his death is the most poetically just thing I can think of. If you pull up every single clip of him and the hate and the violence that he spews and supports, it's like, to think you could just keep putting that out there and not have it come back. Like, it's just so bizarre to me. And I'm so done with people clutching their pearls saying violence isn't the answer. Yeah, I know. We told you that years ago. But the level of violence is determined by the oppressor, not the oppressed. So every ounce of violence that happens in our country is a result of our American empire. And it's just coming back to hit us. And I couldn't care less about him. So
here's some of Charlie's greatest hits.
Like a capitalist every single day, Shank. I live as a capitalist. I live like a capitalist.
What is wrong with this thing? Let's go.
Capitalist every single day, Shank.
Try real quick. Removing and adding.
Remove and add? Okay.
Like a capitalist every single day, Shank. I live as a capitalist. Okay? I live what I believe. No. What do? I get charity every single year.
Crime, like, I'm sorry. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Because of DEI, it begs the question when you see a black pilot.
Colin, this clip is horrifically poorly pixeled. I don't know if there's any issue there, but you could barely see it. So is there, like, anything that could be done? I want people to be able to see it and not have it scrambled.
Let me try re-adding it here. What was the name of that clip, actually? What did I just remember?
I don't know. Some Charlie Kirk greatest hits of some kind, I guess.
Like a capitalist every single day, Shank. I live as a capitalist. Okay? Single year.
If I see a black pilot.
Let me just refresh my page. See if that helps.
This is what happens when you do lives and we are not a fully well-funded operation. We do the best we can.
Is this like a greatest hits of Charlie Kirk?
Yes.
Okay.
But you see, we have to deal with this too. I believe we're being throttled by this person who loves when chaos ensues. That's a huge part of it.
Capitalist every single day, Shank. I live as a capitalist, okay? I live what I believe. No. What do? I get charity every single year.
I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Because of DEI, it begs the question, when you see a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified. If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? It almost creates thought patterns that are not necessarily. No one really cares when it's HR managers. No one cared when it was, just kind of paper shufflers or even engineers. But now when it's like, wait, hold on a second. You're going to remove my appendix and you're a black lesbian?
Charlie Kirk.
I found a tweet that he put out in 2011 saying, "Hey, Libya, give us your oil." That's a good one.
Yeah.
Charlie has often had a lot of very, like I said, controversial takes. I don't know if I could say he's evolved in any positive way.
I found him to be a net negative. I think that he is somebody who spewed hate, who supported violence, state sanctioned and otherwise. He was a bigot, a misogynist, anti-queer. I'd say an all-around piece of shit. And I do not believe, and again, I don't support killing him. That's not something that I would do. That would not be my choice. But to act like somehow we're beyond that and violence isn't the answer is just get the fuck out of here. We are so past that. We are so far past that. And you know what bothers me infinitely more than Charlie Kirk being assassinated is how many children died in Gaza yesterday. And I will tell you, I care infinitely more about each and every single one of them than I would ever give a fuck about Charlie Kirk. So that's why. And yet there will be this worldwide manhunt for someone who killed a net negative. And yet children are being massacred. What?
You will not find him. That ain't
happening. No. They're long gone. They're long gone. Long gone. Whoever they stick before you will not be the person that did this.
Well,
that's the point.
Well, I think the thing that's probably on many people's minds is who ultimately did the deed. I think it's fair to say that whoever did do it was not some amateur that didn't know what they were doing.
Oh, I have to answer very quickly. Yes. This is the common question. What about his kids? You know what? When someone's a real piece of crap, I don't know that their kids are so great with them around. Like Brian Thompson, same thing. Like, I don't know that his existence does kids any favors. Maybe they'll grow up being less hateful. Maybe they won't have a bigot all around them all the time. I don't know. But I know that I don't give a fuck about them because they are going to be well cared for regardless. And we are so far past decorum on this. I just don't care.
Sarah, I think you may find this hard to understand, but a lot of people have different opinions about this particular issue. For example, Charlie has said some pretty disturbing things over the years if you have been following him, not the least of which that he says, and I quote from less than 2 weeks ago, that Islam is incompatible with the West, meaning that anybody who lives in the United States and practices the Muslim faith is not an American, is not a Westerner, is not accepted here, and should be dealt with accordingly. If you ask me, that's a pretty devastatingly honest, bigoted way of looking at the world. For a person who claims to be a Christian or did claim to be a Christian while they were alive, they had a propensity to say a lot of things that were very anti-Christian. For those who know anything about the Muslim faith, they know that Jesus is held in a very high regard. In fact, he's considered one of the 5 prophets of the Quran. And so to push the message that Charlie pushed for many years, I would say was very disturbing.
Yes.
And if you are going to claim to be a Christian, then either you practice the teachings of Jesus or you do not. This isn't selective, there isn't this selective decision making as far as I like this part of the Bible, but I don't like that part of the Bible. I don't like any part of it. I just believe in the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have done to you. And I think it's fair to say that Charlie has done a lot of things over the years that were highly questionable. And if you think that they're not.
Yes. Hateful, violent, swelling. He got a paycheck based on instigating hate and violence. And now people are pearl clutching because it came back home. Like, it's, how dumb are you? How dumb are you? You think somebody can just walk through life just being a complete proponent of oppressing and violence? And the other problem is that a lot of you people that think he was great, you don't understand what real violence is. Violence is more than just somebody physically attacking another person. It's denying them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and oppressing them by standing on their fucking neck. And somebody like Charlie Kirk spent his life pushing people to punch and kick down. Right? That's what he did. He played on people's anger and their dissatisfaction and their malcontent, and he got them to hate immigrants and hate black people and hate queers and hate the other. But you know what? Fuck him. Seriously. And fuck you all for sitting there and acting like, oh my God, violence isn't the answer. Yeah, you should have gone back and told him that, because we could probably find a dozen clips where he's promoting some form of violence or another. So go get fucked over this. That's my thought. And personally, I don't care one way or the other about him being dead.
And one of the things that I also want to point out is that when you think about the worst Zion-Nazis that permeate amongst the ranks within social media, yeah, we're going to get to Laura Loomer shortly, but do not forget about Chaya Raichik. Do not forget about a person who tried to hide her identity, Libs of TikTok, who was discovered basically being, the hall monitoring Karen. Anybody who says anything, I am going to do everything in my power to take away your free speech rights. There are people today who had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's death, but had voiced their support for him no longer being here. Again, either you believe in our constitutional right to free speech and to denigrate somebody who was murdered. Again, I'm not with it and I'm not doing it, but I support their right to do it. And so should you. Or you're
Is this regarding me? Is this regarding me? Because if it is, that's really cool. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for helping the algorithm.
I think it's very important that people understand why this is happening. And that is the part that I think people are ignoring. If you have a strong feeling about Charlie, Colin, do you not have the tweets that I sent you? Do you need me to send them again?
What tweet are you talking about specifically?
Laura Loomer is one of them. I know I sent you a handful of stuff.
Yeah, I got it right.
I don't think people truly understand how bad this is going to get, because you have people out there that are now saying, let's take away everybody's rights. You've got guys like Matt Fournier and all of these people saying this is a war. We have to kill the left. They're going to kill us if we don't kill them first. And you mean to tell me that there is no truth to this idea that this wasn't planned? That there wasn't I said it yesterday for anybody who hasn't seen the clip, and I'm going to be very clear about this.
I didn't see it because by the time I was taken down, like I only saw clips of crowds running. I didn't see it, and I don't need to see it. I don't.
That's not what I'm talking about.
The clip of him, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm talking about what I was saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, if I'm allowed to speak, he has not only said disturbing things, but it's the people that are now talking about him post-death that are trying to use him as a martyr figure to justify their version of censorship and revenge. And it couldn't be more clear. Like I said, do I think that there's a possibility that Charlie was saying certain things that got him into trouble? Yes, I do. But I also believe that he didn't exactly turn his back on the Zionist movement just yet. Maybe he was going in that direction. Maybe he truly was disturbed as a Christian that the Israelis were blowing up churches in Gaza and obviously the West Bank. That usually a normal Christian, somebody who holds the Holy Land as something very sacred to them, would probably find that very disturbing. I know I do, and I'm not even religious, but I understand the importance that the church provides for people. Just like the mosque and the synagogue, it means something to people. It's a sense of pride and connection and a sense of belonging and meaning. And the Israelis completely denigrate that every day. And Charlie Kirk was just starting to change his tune on that. In fact, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Harrison Smith, but he is also somebody who I believe is from InfoWars, who said point blank, before the assassination, that Charlie Kirk, who apparently was wearing a bulletproof vest at this event yesterday, goes to show you that they knew exactly where to hit him, that he was concerned that Israel wanted to take him out. Why, Jen, would he be concerned that Israel would want to take him out? Well, I have some thoughts, and I'm sure you will too. So here we go.
The DOJ should immediately move to unseal all the Epstein documents in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah. Everything. Everything except child sexual assault material.
I think every file should be released to the public the same way as the JFK files. Let the American...
I mean, this was just from a few weeks ago. That is a pretty ballsy statement, to say the least, to use a platform. And as I said, Charlie Kirk has a platform of millions of people. His reach is tremendous. And for anybody who is new here, I talked about this yesterday. I went to one of the Turning Point USA events in Tampa, Florida. It is a big event. It is a really huge event, incredible event. They do a really great job. Yeah, you know what they do? They completely rent out a part of the Tampa Bay Convention Center. Do you know how much money that costs? Do you know how much capital it is required to do things like that? A lot. It takes a lot of money. So he had high friends he had high friends in high places, or powerful friends in high places, however you want to say it. And I'm sure you would agree, Jen. You're only as useful and as good as the last statement you made on behalf of corporate special interests. The second you deviate from it, especially with the genocide going on and the entire world with the backdrop of the UN National Assembly starting in just over a week's time, you're going to change your tune. I mean, it's not a stretch to think that they were going to make an example of somebody with a huge following. People are around asking themselves, could they really do this? And the answer is, yes, they can. And yes, they will. And yes, they probably did. That's my thought. Your thoughts?
Well, I don't think it matters why, to be honest with you. I think that for whatever reason, he was sacrificed. He was sacrificed either to create rage at the left, to further have more militarization and policing in our streets, further take away our civil liberties, and further just essentially create the police state that they're trying to create. And but there's so many different people that would have so many different motives. You know, I even thought for a while today that maybe somebody would do that to just get to Trump because Trump really liked him. But, you know, look, he pissed off a shit ton of people. And not only did he piss off people that are at the top, but right now you've got veterans who are trained that are just righteously angry. You know, normally you would say, oh, this was definitely done by someone professional. Well, yeah, it was done by somebody professional, but that doesn't mean it isn't a disgruntled vet. That doesn't mean that it was, you know, some master plan either. I don't know. I just know that this was a very hateful person who gave a lot of people a reason to not like him. And I think when you live your life like that, karma bites you in the ass, or in this case, in the neck. And that's, you know, that's so it goes. That's fucking life. Again, I'm more concerned about what's going on in Gaza right now. The fact that we're all being distracted by this is also what I've been saying has been good. I said this weeks ago that in the next couple of weeks, I said a couple of weeks ago, beware of all the false flags. These are distractions. They're keeping us from looking at what's going on in Gaza. They're keeping us from focusing on the Epstein files. These are distractions. And again, I do not give a fuck one way or the other about another fucking hateful, bigoted, misogynistic piece of shit content creator that got killed versus, again, how many Palestinian children were killed yesterday? I want to say it's like 50 something. And so, yeah, I just fuck him and fuck anybody who cares about this as a distraction over what really matters.
Missy,
that's what I think.
Missy, when you say that Islam is not compatible with Western values, it isn't. He doesn't need to say F all Muslims, Muslims die, in order for it to be hateful rhetoric. There is also something to be said for him, I guess, pontificating in his own way about the way women should live their lives, that women should be chaste, that they should get married young and have kids and you know, be a stay-at-home mother. First of all, I don't know what universe he's living in where he thinks that that's even easy to do these days.
Well, it is. In the crowd of people he hangs out with, it probably is.
But let's just assume for a minute that it was possible. Why is it his job to tell anyone how they should live their lives? He can make suggestions, but this is a person who is a throwback to the type of men who didn't want women to ever have sexual gratification outside of marriage. And even then, that's something that in their mind is not necessarily...
Okay, this is not a serious person, okay? You are not a serious person. To say that somebody isn't hateful when you could find clips of them totally crapping on immigrants, crapping on gays, crapping on blacks, get out of here. He literally got a paycheck from convincing people to kick down and be hateful.
And it's not just that.
Yeah, sorry.
And it's not just that. You also have to remember that this is a guy who everyone is like going around now saying, this isn't the answer. Charlie was such a nice person. Listen, I have no doubt that in a personal interaction, I'm sure Charlie was very nice. But you know what? That doesn't change the fact that his rhetoric was terrible, that there were things that he said were absolutely unacceptable. That doesn't mean there aren't things that he said that were correct. Even if a broken clock is right twice a day, heck, even if it's right 4 or 5 times a day, it doesn't change the fact that with great power comes great responsibility. He is responsible for what he says. When you have that many people that are under your wing, that are hanging on your every word, there is a level of responsibility that comes with that. And there were times where I highly questioned whether he understood it as much. He made a lot of money. He gained a lot of power. He gained a lot of allies, but he also gained a lot of enemies. There were people that were waiting for him to F up, and there are also people that were waiting for an opportunity to use him as a political martyr. Exactly. They found their opportunity. Exactly. And they're going to use it for all they're worth. If you guys are not paying attention to what these scum suckers who are evangelical right lunatics are out there saying right now about what should happen. I mean, listen.
Absolutely, Willie.
As Jen likes to point out.
Sorry. Yeah.
25 years ago, almost 25 years ago, we decided to give up our 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment rights at the backdrop of the Patriot Act, which they had been trying to push through for years. And then lo and behold, they were able to push it through. And we're going to get to 9/11 shortly. There is no question that Charlie Kirk bit off more than he could chew. And that is why, as soon as I saw it happen, and I connected with one of our good friends who is a very conservative Marine, and he said that was a professional hit, period. No two ways about it.
Again, we know, like, clearly it was done by someone who was very capable.
Yeah. But I'm going to show you guys now what I also believe from this particular event is what ultimately put Charlie Kirk into extremely hot water. And that, of course, is the fact that he decided, whether he was warned ahead of time, which I think you and I would both agree he probably was, Do not platform Dave Smith under any circumstances. And he did it anyway.
There.
I just don't think it's one thing.
First of all, look, if you support what Israel's doing in Gaza right now, I would just, like, my advice to you guys is just know that you never have a leg to stand on claiming to be pro-life for the rest of your life. Just saying that. If you... Oh, so it's okay to support policy.
Let's not boo our speaker,
It's okay to support a policy that is killing babies. All of a sudden, killing babies is negotiable. All right, fine. I'm just reading the room.
So, Dave, why don't you...
No, I'm not talking about for Hamas.
Hold on. Back up, Dave. Why don't...
I just let you go on this whole long thing.
I know. I'm going to actually help you out here, Dave, okay? What I'm doing is I want you to tell the audience what's going on in Gaza, because some people in the audience don't know what's going on. So don't assume they know, and let's not get back...
Oh, okay. Well, I did assume that most people know that lots of babies are being killed in Gaza, but maybe I shouldn't have assumed that.
Don't be sarcastic about it, Dave. Instead... I mean this because
no, I meant that literally. I did assume that.
Loop where they're on social media all the time. Okay, so walk through numbers, walk through what animates you to say something like that.
Well, okay. Well, let me respond to a few of the things that Josh claimed. I mean, if you want to go, there was just a major report a couple weeks ago in Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, where they had a bunch of IDF soldiers. They actually had one who went on record who was saying that they were ordered to shoot at crowds of people who were going into
all right, desperately left-wing filth, by the way.
So you got Josh Hammer on one side saying this is a bunch of left-wing filth. And to Charlie's credit, he doesn't interrupt him. He doesn't say that he's wrong. He just lets him say what he's going to say. And you better believe, to the millions of people that are hearing this, whether or not they believe Dave Smith right out of the gate, they're definitely going to go online and take a look and see, wow, is it true that these IDF soldiers are actually blasting away at starving children? Then they might end up discovering who Anthony Aguilar is and discovering exactly what he saw when he was there. And so when you are attempting to shield the world, especially the Western world, America specifically, from seeing exactly what's going on there, you'd have to imagine, Jen, that Charlie Kirk is one of those people that the Zionist project relied on heavily to protect it from ever being exposed. And it isn't a question of whether he said it, but the fact that he used his platform to let somebody who they absolutely hate say it, that's putting yourself in harm's way as far as I'm concerned.
I just don't think it's one thing. I don't think so. And I think that the picture is bigger than that. That's sort of like you're looking at like a handful of trees. And I just think he is sacrificed for a much bigger cause. And it could be that. It could be, again, the biggest reason is distraction. It's a freaking circus. It's a circus. And he gets to be a martyr. It causes people to start talking about, controlling and oppressing the left specifically. And Trump did come out with a statement with the radical left. And this was not a radical left thing that was done. So that then makes me believe that it was done with the intention of that being what the perception would be. And that's the point. Also, again, I do believe they're wanting to further infringe on our civil liberties, create more militaristic police state. All of this is part of that. And it's, I feel like it's really a very big distraction. Yeah, like, again, I care infinitely less about him than any single Gazan children that was killed in the past 24 hours.
Josh, I let you talk. Let's please let Dave make his case.
Well, is the IDF soldier who went on the record also Phil?
Probably.
Okay. All right. There you go. So you're whatever. That's when you'll criticize the IDF. Look, Josh is just lying when he says that Israel supported Hamas for all those years because they feared there might be a worse alternative. It's just not true. And this has been so widely reported. You don't have to rely on Haaretz. You can rely on all types of reporting, or you can just look at all of the leaders in their own words, what they said. They chose Netanyahu, and this was very controversial in Israel. There were lots of critics of this. Netanyahu thought he had this brilliant idea, which is that he would prop up Hamas and keep them in power. His exact quote was, "We can control the height of the flame." So he was like, we'll keep these terrorists in power, and that way we can tell the entire international community that, look, we have no partner for peace. We have no one to deal with here. And that way we never have to negotiate with the Palestinians.
Couldn't have said it better. And I think the point of that tweet that you highlighted is that this is just one big distraction.
Absolutely. From Gaza, from the flotilla, from Epstein files, from yes. And you get to and you get to take away our civil liberties as a bonus. Yes, that's what I think. Every time that something like this happens to someone they give a shit about, then it's time to crack down on security and take away our rights. When it happens to regular people, then people like Charlie Kirk say, well, that's just the nature of the Second Amendment. Some people are going to have to die. I agree, Charlie. I agree.
Well, I think that the other thing that we have to keep in mind, and guys, we have 710 people watching live right now, but only 275 of you have hit that like button.
Oh, come on, guys. Just hit the button.
Come on. Hit the button.
It really does help, guys. If you hit the button, if you share it with one person, it really helps.
Mm-hmm.
If you are new here, welcome. We must have new people right now.
I would imagine so. Guys, remember, the key here is that as much as you may not care whether or not Jen lives or dies, I do. And I want her to live long enough to see us get to 100,000 subscribers so she can be buried with the silver plaque, however long she's alive. I doubt we'll get to 1 million, but I think 100,000 is realistic. So we won't ever get the gold, but I think we'll get the silver. And so for that, I am grateful. Right now, we are sitting at 55,458 subscribers. To think that we are just over 44,000 subscribers away from making it a reality. Jen, I mean, come on. Who would have thought, right? Ain't that crazy?
It is crazy. This is actually probably the most people that I've ever had while I've been here. You generally do much better without me.
Well, I think some people are getting a taste of what my politics was like, but now they're seeing that you are absolutely a leftist. There is no getting around that. And either they can accept you for being you or they are going to hate you. But as I said,
I'm sort of an acquired taste, but I promise, I'll grow on you like a fungus. It's true.
Kind of like Dave Smith did. We'll finish it up.
This was the game that he played, and it blew up in his face and really blew up in the Israeli people's face on October 7th. And I've never downplayed October 7th. I don't know. I know, but I'm just making the point that I never have.
Thank you for that, because what happened there is totally
evil. You don't have to downplay any of that. And in fact, I've criticized many other critics of Israel who have downplayed that. It was a hard.
I always find it interesting how when people discover our show, there's always the Steve Buscemi comment that comes right out of the gate.
We know. We know. We've heard it many times.
But how much longer do they actually, this is the question that I have, which I think is more important. How long do they think they're going to be able to continue to say October 7th? And amazingly, we're less than a month away from the anniversary. Can you even imagine what a deal the Zion Nazis are going to make out of October 7th this year?
Yeah. And that's another thing I don't care about. I don't care about October 7th. I don't care about Hamas. I don't care about anything that you were going to tell me that occupied peoples have done in reaction to being occupied. I don't care. I do not judge how occupied people resist being occupied. And if you do, you should examine that. So no, I don't care. And not to mention there is so much fucking evidence that not only did Israel know, but they had their people stand down. Israel wanted that to happen. Now, whether or not they planned it, I don't know, but they definitely helped it, and they definitely took advantage of it. And yeah, for sure. And so this was the plan. We are now in the final solution of what has been a 76-year Holocaust. This is the final solution. And they needed October 7th for their final solution. So yeah, I don't care about October 7th, and I don't care about Hamas. And when people say that to me, I want to punch them. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We'll finish it up.
Horrible day. Awful, atrocious acts were committed by Hamas terrorists. But at the same time, Benjamin Netanyahu was propping those guys up. In fact, according to the Israeli former defense secretary, he sent the head of the Mossad to Qatar to, quote, beg them to continue shipping the money in. Meanwhile, they had a blockade around Gaza.
I don't hear any lies. I think we have.
Has anybody sued him for libel? You know what I mean? Like, you could call it whatever you want to, but if you had a case, you'd probably go at him, especially if you were Netanyahu.
my frenemy who supports Charlie Kirk says Peter likes Hamas, I guess. No, but I will quote my colleague here. And remember this, Uncle Sam, because clearly that's your real name and that's your real picture. One person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter.
Always.
Don't forget that. Don't forget that. I mean, there are people in this chat who may support Charlie who actually believe that it is Judea and Samaria and that land is rightfully belonging to the Israelis. Again, there's no such thing as an Israeli. There is no such thing as the people who claim to be Semitic or even native to that part of the land. You know what they look like?
They're not
They look like
Semites.
Jen and I. They look like us. You think they could survive in the desert? I'm sorry. But we've seen the rendition of what Jesus really would have looked like. You know who he looks like? Our friend Anthony. That's who he looks like.
Yes. Our friend Anthony Paz really does look very Jesus-like to me. He really does.
And he is a Catholic.
He does. Yes, he does look like Jesus to me.
Listen, we appreciate the
Kenan's
compliment.
getting mad that we're engaging with trolls.
No, we appreciate it because if you say this, just remember, it doesn't bother me. It probably doesn't bother Jen, but you're helping our channel grow anyway. So we appreciate you even taking the time to leave a comment. Thank you. We appreciate it. But Dave has a little bit more to say, and Colin, check your phone. No, Colin has checked his phone. So you know what? I think that this in itself is probably as important as anything. Now, if you're looking for a reason to say, why would Charlie Kirk have become a target? Now, for those of you who are aware that Jen is in South Florida, I was in South Florida. We do not have a very high opinion of Patrick Bet-David. He was somebody who we had requested to have Jen on his podcast when she was running for Congress against Debbie Wasserman-Schultz. And in his haste, decided, I am going to act like I want to have you on, but I'm also going to try to sell you one of my masterminds because, let's be honest, he is a snake oil salesman. But he was known to have Charlie Kirk on from time to time. And the last time he was on, this is what Charlie had to say. Very cryptic, to say the least.
Zero many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu was basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right?
Is that true?
Is what true? Is that the judicial branch? Look, they've been having a lot of problems in there, and that is another thing about October 7th was very convenient for Netanyahu because he is facing some serious corruption charges. He was trying to dismantle their judicial branch of their government, and he was wanting to basically upend their constitution. And they were really having a lot of internal conflict there over this. So that's why the timing of October 7th is suspect.
He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order?
Yes.
It's very, yes, there was. There had to be. There had to be. There had to be. That's science, okay? I don't know if people don't know how small Israel is. Israel is teeny. The idea that it took the amount of time that it took for them to do anything and respond there is no way that there weren't people that were standing down in certain locations. It's just not possible.
And
it's the most highly surveilled place on the planet.
And let's be honest, we are putting ourselves in harm's way by talking about this. Now, do I think they would come after us the way they did Charlie Kirk? No, because clearly we don't have anywhere near the reach and the impact that he did. However, Do I think that we can get throttled, that enough people listen, the night that I went live for the first time on a Saturday, and we got 2,000 live viewers at a given time for like 2 hours, trust me, right after that, they throttled the shit out of the channel. They will do it again. Because
so guys, help us out. Please help us out.
Yeah, if you can help us out, it really does matter, because again, we're trying to be as fair and equitable as we can with everybody. I know that's hard to believe. I know there are a lot of people who maybe even conservative and think we hate them. No, we don't. That's not how we think. We are on the side of justice. We are also on the side of people who are doing the right thing. Thomas Massey comes to mind. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene comes to mind, even though Marjorie Taylor Greene is an insider trader, but she is right on this core issue of our time. And there are others as well who are doing their job. To me, that's important. And the fact that he was saying this, I think, was also important. And he had a little bit more to say.
Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. Yeah. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF. The whole country is. Yeah. And you're trying to tell me that they're going to concerts and kibbutzes and schools and by report.
A lot of questions need to be asked.
Randall wants to know, how is it justice to say that Kirk's death means nothing and I don't care? It's not my job to give justice. Not on that. I don't need to give justice for that. I really just don't care. It's not my job to give justice. And people like that, I'm all out of grace. So I have no grace, and it is not my job to give justice. So that's why I don't give a shit.
If anybody really wants to understand why Jen does not care, just simply know that if you are new to this channel, this is somebody who came through her upbringing in a Zionist community. And to deconstruct that upbringing is very difficult. And it's also very difficult to understand that Zionism is the ultimate form of human supremacy. There is a belief amongst Zionist Jews that they are culturally, ethnically, economically, and socially superior to everyone else on the planet. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't other cultures that feel the same way. The difference is, in this country, they have a lot of money and they have a lot of power. And as a result, they have created this marriage, if you will, between the two nations. As you often say, Israel is us, we are Israel. Yes. We are trying to change that. For anybody that has seen the commingling of the American flag and the Israeli flag, to me, that's treasonous. You are either for the United States of America or you are for somebody else. And clearly there are plenty who are for somebody else, like Israel, like a nation that if we do not break away from right now, they are going to sink us into the seventh circle of hell. Now, before we start our next subject, because we are going to transition to 9/11, we are a small but mighty and growing channel. And if you guys are so inclined, which we hope that you may be, please go to patreon.com/revolutionary change for as little as $5 a month. You could become a supporter of our small but mighty and growing channel. Right now, we have 768 people watching live. Oh, we've only gotten 432 likes. So if you haven't smashed that like button yet, Jen's going to be very unhappy if you don't. So please, I don't want to have to deal with her kvetching, so please smash the like button. It would be very much appreciated. But we love you guys either way, just for being here. And so, of course, we have to give a shout out to our super chatters. Let's kick it off with one of our favorites, Willie Bragg with the $5.
Thank you, Willie.
If you haven't subscribed to the Willie Bragg Show, we always recommend that you do. I am sorry, only a human-to-human level if anyone pushes the daisies, even a jerk like Charlie Kirk. Shedding a tear over him? Absolutely not. Again, don't have to celebrate his death, but you don't have to mourn him either. I understand that sentiment. JG 1982, one of our absolute best, with the $5. No half-mast for children in mass shootings. I mean, how many Palestinian children were mass murdered the other day? I would say that that's a pretty big problem.
Well, I mean, that's the point. And yet no one's talking about that. They're talking about one guy who got killed here. So it just pales in comparison.
But this is also a reflection, I think, in many ways of the capitalist problem that we're living through. You see, a lot of the reason why I think a lot of people felt an endearment, if you will, towards Charlie Kirk is that, as he said, time and again, I am a proud capitalist. I am a successful capitalist. And in many cases, people measure the success of people based on the size of their wallet. Like, to them, that's everything. And Charlie Kirk made a lot of money. And he made a lot of money for a lot of people. So in his mind, or in a lot of people's minds, that's enough. That's enough to support him. And in my mind, that's not the reason to support somebody. What you do with that money and how you try to affect positive change is another story. You give us the bank account that Charlie Kirk has, and believe me, there would be systematic change in many corners of the country. With that bandwidth, we would definitely see to it. MTG Paradise, thank you so much for the $10 super stick. Very much appreciated. Not to be outdone. Bright22, who I believe may be new, thank you for the $10 super stick. Much appreciated. Pine Martin with the $5. I do like that profile picture. Jen is being realistic. I'm more concerned with 20,000 times over the number of kids dead in Palestine than I am for this POS Charlie Kirk. Okay, well, without the course of language, I will say this. Can you also talk about the complete undercount of how many children have been mass murdered in Gaza?
Me talk about it?
No.
Well, I mean, and again, I'm not, a statistician by any stretch. I'm just someone who's been watching this for almost 2 years. According to me, this is estimate according to Jen, they're at about 500,000 dead. They're at about 500,000 dead. And when you take into consideration that more than half of the population of Gaza is children, that means that we're at about 250,000 dead babies. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. And Charlie Kirk just does. It pales in comparison to me. It just, I just don't care. I care more about Amir. I care more about Amir and Hin Rajab than I will ever care about someone like Charlie Kirk.
Piano Man, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. Always a pleasure. Neo Maxim, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Very much appreciated. Willie Bragg coming in hot again with the $5. Charlie Kirk was basically Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, but he catered those 1993 talking points trash to the youth. Jen is right. Charlie Kirk was a net negative. Listen, I think Charlie Kirk was a net negative. I'm not going to say he was positive. Why would I say that? Charlie Kirk had every which way to help improve this country, and he chose not to do it. He chose to line his pockets, as a lot of people choose to do. He used his ability to go on campuses and debate with people who are not intellectually near his level. There is cognitive development that happens all the way up until you're 25. If you're debating people that are 18, 19 years old, there is a lack of understanding and debate capability. I mean, listen, I was on the debate team when I was 18, and that doesn't mean that I knew everything, but there's a limit to what you understand. There's an irrational approach to certain things. And Charlie, like Ben Shapiro, like Steven Crowder, knew how to push people's buttons and get them riled up. And hence why there was so much vitriol and anger whenever they were doing their so-called debates. So I certainly understand the sentiment. Cheetah with the $5. Deviate people from talking about Gaza. Yes, there is no question whether it's Gaza, whether it's the Epstein files, it is all meant to distract. And this will distract people for a long time. And of course, Conservative Inc. is using this as an opportunity to preach censorship of the worst kind. So do not forget that. Rocks with the $4.99. Jen is always right. She's always on point. It feels so good to hear her speak.
And you know what? Thank you so much, Rox. If you could just stay around in all of our chats and just regularly put Jen is always right, super chat or no super chat, just so we could put it up when Peter's saying things. Like, I just think that would be really helpful. Yeah.
Listen, it's a really great compliment, a really sweet person that gives you that contribution. Really great person. JG 1982 with the $5. Same with 9/11. They knew it would happen, and Trump blamed Osama. Day one, I saw it. He was interviewed 9/11 by local news. Yeah, they all probably knew ahead of time. Arm with Harmony, thank you for the $5. 2025 year of the snake. Qatar was an attempt to wipe the money trail from Bibi to Hamas. Hey, the fact that it is public knowledge that Milikowski has been funding Hamas for many years, and that still doesn't make you go, that seems kind of weird. Why would they do such a thing? Well, if you ask me, it's all right there in front of you. You just have to be willing to open your eyes. Are you willing to open your eyes? That's the big question. JG1982 with the $10 super sticker. Oh, we are off to a solid start tonight. Toilet seat theorist. I know you are new. Is that the pound? I'm not sure where that is. Great show.
I don't know if it's. It's a euro.
It's a euro. I think you're right.
It's a euro. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Great show. Be safe out there. America is looking crazy. From Ireland. Or is that France? No, is that France or Ireland? Is that blue or is that green? I can't tell.
That's green clover.
Right. Oh, yeah. Love you, baby. To my fellow Irish brethren.
I'm working on conversion. Everybody stay tuned. I will eventually Irish. I'm trying really hard.
Jay Rahman with the $4.99 super sticker. Thank you very, very much and much appreciated. Chris Garrett, always a pleasure. One of our OGs, as you can see. He's been a member for 20 months. Let me tell you something, guys. We are going to be doing either a Throwback Thursday or more likely a Flashback Friday. We're going to be pulling up some old clips at least once a week from our earlier shows, and we actually have our 5-year anniversary coming up the first week of October. So we're planning something really huge for that day. And so one of our OGs, Chris Garrett, he used to show up when we had 20 to 25 people.
Yes.
So thank you. Was Charlie silenced or sacrificed or both? Jen, what's your thought? I believe he was sacrificed, but maybe he was silenced too. Either way,
I tend to think that it's, again, a couple weeks ago was predicting false flags. So to me, this is exactly what I had in mind was going to be the distraction from Gaza, from the Epstein files, from all of it. And yeah, I think he was sacrificed. He was sacrificed. They needed a martyr. There they go.
And let's conclude the super chats with the best one of all, Farouk Saeed with the $50.
Oh, thank you so much, Farouk.
Guys, we are trying to help Jen.
Donna wants to know who benefits. Who benefits? The state.
The state.
The state and its militarization and over policing and taking away our civil liberties and cracking down on people and calling out the radical left and further infringing on our right to protest or march or whatever we want to do, because they declare us radical terrorists, and then we no longer have our 4th, 5th, or 6th Amendment rights. So this is how we are in a very, very steep slope to fascist authoritarianism, and shit like this facilitates that. That's why. That's to the end.
I am somebody who is always very patriotic in general. I love our flag. I love what the American experiment is supposed to represent. Of course, we know that that's not how it has been executed, far from it. But knowing that I came very close when I was 18 to joining the military, and knowing full well what I know now, I'm thankful that I didn't. And I'm going to show you why I'm grateful now that I didn't.
In the 1990s, and I said that the West really doesn't understand militant Islam. So I wrote a book in 1995, and I said that if the West doesn't wake up to the suicidal nature of militant Islam, the next thing you'll see is the militant Islam is bringing down the World Trade Center.
How would somebody know this in 1995? Unless they had some idea that something was going to happen, and then 9/11 happens? Why would Israel have any knowledge of something of that magnitude?
Well, all roads lead to the plan for the greater Israel, right? This goes back to what, was it Wesley Clark? Was it General Clark was talking about?
General Clark, guys, and he was a guest on our podcast, and he said,
we had General Clark. Mm-hmm. But he had received that memo stating that these are all the states that we need to go after. And Iraq, Iran, Syria, Lebanon, they all of it, right? That was on there. So it makes sense that if all of this, and I mean all of it, is pertaining to getting a control over West Asia to the point where there can be a greater Israel, then that's why they would know. Because all of this, and they're so stupid about it too. Like when you look back in retrospect, it's like, if you were going to try to get us to go after Iraq, you could have at least used Iraqis. But no, they didn't. They used Saudis or Egyptians or whatever they were using. Like, it's so silly.
15 of the 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia.
Right. So it's all absurd. And as somebody who knew at the time, I knew at the time, and I have witnesses to this. I remember turning to a whole bunch of people. I was clerking for a federal judge, and I said, there are no weapons of mass destruction. This is a bunch of bullshit. And then the next thing you know, fast forward, and I'm reading 800 and plus pages of a Patriot Act that now takes away my 4th, 5th, 6th Amendment rights. So that was the purpose. It further created the reach of American empire, allowing it to go after citizens, go after people based on terrorism. So it's all like, it's very clear to me.
If you guys thought that clip was a good throwback, this one is even better. It is from the Secretary of Defense on September 10th, 2001.
This adversary is one of the world's last bastions of central planning, governs by dictating 5-year plans, a single capital that attempts to impose its command across time zones, continents, oceans, and beyond. With brutal consistency, it stifles free thought and crushes new ideas. It disrupts the defense of the United States and places the lives of men and women in uniform at risk. Perhaps this adversary sounds like the former Soviet Union, but that enemy's gone. Our foes are more subtle and implacable today. You may think I'm describing one of the last decrepit dictators of the world, but their day too is almost past, and they cannot match the strength or size of this adversary. The adversary is closer to home. It's the Pentagon bureaucracy.
Boy, that took a lot of balls to say. And this is coming from a very conservative, State Department establishment head. Rumsfeld was part of that inner circle with Cheney and Wolfowitz that basically took over the Republican Party, the neocon takeover of the Republican Party.
You're missing the key component of that. Who was the ringleader?
Cheney. Yeah, I said Cheney.
Oh, okay. I heard Wolfowitz. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Cheney, Wolfowitz, and Rumsfeld, the three amigos. And these are the three men that basically the three neocons that took over the GOP post Nixon's resignation. And so all of this was essentially coming to a head 25 years after the fact.
Not the people, but the processes. Not the civilians, but the systems. Not the men and women in uniform, but the uniformity of thought and action that we too often impose on them. In this building, despite the era of scarce resources, taxed by mounting threats, money disappears into duplicative duties, bloated bureaucracy, not because of greed, but gridlock. Innovation is stifled not by ill intent, but by institutional inertia. Just as we must transform America's military capability to meet changing threats, we must transform the way the department works and what it works on. We must build a department where each of the dedicated people here can apply their immense talents to defend America, where they have the resources, information, and freedom to perform. Our challenge is to transform not just the way we deter and defend, but the way we conduct our daily business. Let's make no mistake. The modernization of the Department of Defense is a matter of some urgency. In fact, it could be said that it's a matter of life and death, ultimately, every American's. A new idea ignored may be the next threat overlooked. A person employed in a redundant task is one who could be countering terrorism or nuclear proliferation.
But all the while, people decided, no, I got to get rich. I don't care if it sells out our country. I don't care if it puts our service members in harm's way. None of that becomes a factor. It's all about now. How do we deal with it now? That's what Rummy's talking about.
Every dollar squandered on waste is one denied to the warfighter. That's why we're here today, challenging us all to wage an all-out campaign to shift Pentagon's resources from bureaucracy to the battlefield, from tail to the tooth. We know the adversary, we know the threat, and with the same firmness of purpose that any effort against a determined adversary demands, we must get at it and stay at it. Some might ask, how in the world could the Secretary of Defense attack the Pentagon in front of its people? To them I reply, I have no desire to attack the Pentagon. I want to liberate it. We need to save it from itself. The men and women of this department, civilians and militaries, are our allies, not our enemies. They too are fed up with bureaucracy. They too live with frustrations. I hear it every day. And I'll bet $1 to a dime that they too want to fix it. In fact, I bet they even know how to fix it. And if asked, we'll get about the task of fixing it. And I'm asking. They know the taxpayers deserve better. Every dollar we spend was entrusted to us by a taxpayer who earned it by creating something of value with sweat and skill. A cashier in Chicago, a waitress in San Francisco. An average American family works an entire year to generate $6,000 in income taxes. Here we spill many times that amount every hour.
Incredible.
We need to all stop paying our taxes together. Seriously, what if everybody just stopped the same friggin' time?
This is the one thing that I wish people would understand. There are so many more of us than there are of them, and yet people are afraid to, But this is also what happens. We get divided, and we follow people that are doxing people because they wanted it, because they didn't like Charlie Kirk, and they celebrated his passing. Okay? The people that are out there doing that, trust me, they're the enemy. They're the enemy. Just like people on the left who do the same thing. I hate freaking wokey dumbasses who think everybody needs to adhere to their doctrine. There's always going to be people like that. But if you have any doubt that they did not cover this up completely, or that they didn't do a completely protective job, Colin, where's that clip? We hope people
it takes a sec to render. It's coming.
Okay. Fair enough. It's a quick one, though, but it's effective. Hopefully it comes out okay. Did you pull that up, or did Colin?
I did. Colin never had anything to do with it. He didn't even know I was making it when I made it. He's only seen it when you've seen it.
If you had any doubt that 9/11 was an inside job, and I don't think that anybody at this point would question that, considering the stage we're at with the state of Israel. Well, this apparently only aired when it actually aired, and somebody was able to grab it and post it online, and yet somehow I was able to find it on the fly.
Outside the Pentagon, CNN's military affairs correspondent Jamie McIntyre. And Jamie, you got very close to where that plane went down.
That's right, Judy. A while ago, I walked right up to next to the building. Firefighters were still trying to put out the blaze. The fire, by the way, is still burning in some parts of the Pentagon. And I took a look at the huge gaping hole that's in this sideway, but from my close-up inspection, there's no evidence of a plane having crashed anywhere near the Pentagon. The only site is the actual side of the building that's crashed in, and as I said, the only pieces left that you can see are small enough that you could pick up in your hand. There are no large tail sections, wing sections, a fuselage, nothing like that.
And yet, they were able to find the passport of one of the terrorists on the plane. So the entire plane was destroyed to where there was nothing that was found, but there was a passport. Boy, those are indestructible, huh? Woo.
They really are. So are the driver's licenses, apparently. again, that's not to say that 2 planes did not fly into the World Trade Center. They certainly did. But let's be honest.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did they? Well, again, and I'm not jumping on any theory, but I have seen clips where people have shown that there's like this hologram thing. But even if you take that and you're like, okay, yeah, 2 planes flew in, the way those collapsed is extremely suspect. There's video of firefighters that were in the building that were saying conflicting things with what we've been told. And then building 7 is like, yeah, there's those buildings collapsing how they did makes 0 sense according to architectural physics and people that study that shit. So I mean, I don't study that, but I have heard people who know what they're talking about saying that is not. And this one, there was nothing left but a passport. You can't make that shit up.
So when it happens live, you're not thinking about, all right, well, this has to be protected information. You can only control the narrative as much as possible. Yeah. And of course, at the time in 2001, CNN was the featured player in corporate media. And so somebody's out there making a statement to this effect. It wasn't a case where they were able to get all of their ducks in a row and get somebody to say what they wanted them to say. It turns out that this was just a completely fair objective from somebody who actually was there, who saw it and said, there was no plane that flew into this. This was a missile. And anytime you look at where this happened, it appears, again, the Pentagon is the largest federal building in the world. However, it is believed that the part of the building, again, I only go based on what I hear. It could be something different, but what I am told is that the part of the Pentagon that was hit with this missile was specifically the area where the bookkeeping was done for the unaccounted money that was ending up all over the world via foreign policy. And then it went into the stratosphere and became our war economy that I think they had always intended for it to grow into. We had never been attacked on our soil. And I think in their mind, they decided, well, it'll be a hell of a lot easier to sell it if it comes to our front lines, rather than saying the Gulf of Tonkin or the USS Liberty. It's a completely different situation when you see the 2 towers collapse, demolition or not. The heroic plane that was Flight 93 and the passengers that took it down in order to avoid hitting the Capitol. Or this. Sure looks to me like they did something that should not have been done. $2.3 trillion in unaccounted money. Where do you think that ends up?
Lining pockets of contractors and their friends. That's what I think. And that's what they use to get the politicians to get the money back in. It's a whole circle jerk that we're not invited to.
I hate to break it to everybody, but unfortunately, our esteemed guest for the evening is having technical difficulties. It would appear that Mr. Tourney is not going to be able to join us this evening, but we still have a number of other stories to cover. We are waiting on word to see if he is able to make it. So, yes, I do not want to talk about the USS Liberty until our esteemed guest joins us. But
correct.
No question that the connections are very real. And I don't want anyone, we're going to get to Loomer in a minute, but I know that Jen is not too crazy about content creators lending their thoughts. But I thought that this clip of Tucker Carlson with Piers Morgan was absolutely spot on. If there was anyone that can kind of crystallize everything, Tucker did it right.
No, of course I didn't allege that, the Jews did it. I don't even know what that means. I think, in fact, saying things like that is a way to discredit real questions.
Right.
Like Benjamin Netanyahu on camera right after said this is a good thing because it brings the United States into a conflict that we've been involved in on an existential level for decades.
what it means is they had been trying forever to do it. Now I am convinced, as you probably are, Jen, that the bombing of the World Trade Center in 1993 was also a Mossad activity that did not go according to plan.
What I know is that what I have learned over the past very much so few years is that everything that we have been told was true, really, it's just not. It's just not true. And so why would that one be true? Why would that be true? So if we're basically, and all of it goes towards this perception of Middle Eastern terrorists, the Arab terrorists, all of it. So why would that one be true? But then that's why I think it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's a house of cards. It's all coming down, people. It is all coming down.
And that's why they're so afraid of Tucker, because he has fuck you money, as Jen likes to say. Just like Miss Rachel. When you fuck with somebody with fuck you money, not a smart move. Because and again, Tucker is CIA. Everyone probably has a realistic idea that he is. But not everybody who's in the CIA is against the United States. Keep that in mind.
Said that out loud. I'm not guessing, you can pull the tape. We know that a group of Israeli art students, who clearly were not art students, clearly some of them were aligned with Israeli intelligence, were arrested and held for quite some time in the United States before being released without charges. And we know that a group of them, again, I'm quoting an FBI document here, not the internet, filmed the attacks on 9/11, and I'm quoting, seemed to have foreknowledge of those attacks.
We have covered the dancing Israelis before, so if you guys want to go into our archives, for those of you that are new, definitely check that one out. Tucker knocking it out of the park so far.
Now, you were not allowed to follow up on any of this. Fox News did a series with Britt Hume and Carl Cameron, which many people have seen in a bootleg version on the internet, but they did it like within weeks, saying, what is this? There was an Israeli spy ring in the United States, and they clearly knew 9/11 was coming. This is Fox News. They pulled that under pressure. They pulled that off the internet. It's not searchable in any Fox News archive, but they aired it. I know the people who did it. Of course, I worked with them for years. They're real people. They're not crazy. In fact, they're pro-Israel, but they had a fact set before them, and they reported it, which is called journalism. And subsequent generations have been forbidden from noting what is now factually true. Those are factually true statements. Now, we tried to interview some of those people. One lives in the United States, in California, and made no headway whatsoever. And we knew as we did it, by the way, that we're going to be attacked as anti-Semites or something.
He's right.
Tucker needs security.
Especially now. Tucker, if you do not have detail, just like Zoran Mamdani.
I'm sure Tucker's protected.
Tucker's also connected to intelligence, so I'm sure he's okay. I would imagine so anyway. Listen, you can only keep it down for so long. That's what we keep talking about. The American people are longing for the truth. They're longing for honesty, for something that is different, because we have been fed this hill of beans that's all bullshit for decades, many decades, not just 9/11. 9/11 is when they seized their opportunity to get away with this. They've been getting away with it ever since. They used October 7th as a means of furthering what ultimately would become their project. But as you've pointed out, as others have pointed out, they decided to document a genocide in real time for the whole world to see, and they did it gleefully. So when you get upset about people celebrating Charlie's demise, you don't like it? Why is Charlie's life worth more than a Palestinian child's? You may be right about that, Rita. And it's not just Candace. It's Dave Smith. It's everybody. It's even people like us. Who's to say we're not going to get a message? Shut up about Israel. You're asking for trouble.
They have no idea. They have no idea what's coming.
I want people to understand what we've been through over the years, and as a reminder of what occurred post 9/11. Now, I remember watching this clip back in 2014 when it aired live. And I know that there was a lot of controversy surrounding Ben Affleck when he went on with Bill Maher and Sam Harris. But there is no doubt that history now and forever, will look back favorably on what Ben Affleck did on what I believe may have been his last appearance with Bill Maher.
Islamophobia is not a real thing. That if you're critical of something...
Well, it's not a real thing when we do it.
Right.
Nick,
or how about the more than a billion people who aren't fanatical, who don't punch women, who just want to go to the store,
wait a second. Wait a second.
and don't do any of the things they're saying all Muslims
wait a second.
stereotaking.
Wait a second.
Things, and you painting the whole group religion with that.
No.
Well, what is your solution? What is your ask?
No,
just condemn Islam?
The solution. The solution is very much what
we've killed more Muslims than they've killed us by an awful lot. We've invaded more Muslims.
I am not for more killing.
An awful lot. Yet somehow we're exempted from these things because they're not really a reflection of what we believe in. We did by accident. That's why we invaded Iraq and put 4 million people.
We're not convincing anybody.
It's not I'm specifically telling you that I disagree with what you think.
I know, and we're obviously not convincing anybody of the.
You don't understand my argument.
Your argument is like, black people, they show each other.
That is not my argument.
You're talking ISIS couldn't fill a AA ballpark in Charleston, West Virginia, and you're making a career out of ISIS.
No.
That is so fucking accurate of Sam Harris, who, just remember, ladies and gentlemen, is the ultimate privileged Nepo baby of a talented mother who created the Golden Girls. So how does he use his immense wealth and privilege?
Why do you have to squeeze that in?
It's
Can
just
I not have any joy in my life?
Thank you for being a friend.
Do not mock.
Great show. I agree with John. It's a great show. That doesn't mean that Sam Harris isn't a piece of shit.
I've lost Seinfeld. I can't shop at Sephora now. Do not go after the Golden Girls. I just don't, please.
I just hope his mother's not a Zion-Nazi. That's all I can say.
It's not just ISIS. It's all jihadists. It's global. It's a phenomenon of global jihad.
I think that's the opposite.
There is those things. There's ISIS. There's global jihadists. The question is the degree to which you're willing to say, because I've witnessed this behavior, which we all object to on the part of these people, I'm willing to flatly condemn those of you I don't know and have never met.
No.
This is what we've been reduced to.
Well, it's because Bill Maher and Sam Harris are bigots. They're bigots. It's really not complicated. It's really not complicated. It has nothing to do with religion. It really doesn't. That's what their pretext is. They're bigots.
Yeah. Bill Maher recently, I don't know how long ago it was, but of course it was after he thought he was smart by wearing glasses, decided to say, I am very disturbed about the most popular baby name in the UK. It's Mohammed. You're not disturbed by that? I don't. Why be disturbed?
No, go back to the previous episodes. Love a Muhammad. Love a Muhammad. It's because I feel like I could almost have like a 50-50 chance of getting names right when it's a Muhammad.
Probably one of the easier ones.
That's why I love it.
And we would be amiss not to address one of the very worst people that we have encountered that has made it their mission. I want people to also remember something about Laura Loomer, if they are not currently aware. This is a person who I have presented an image of on this show before, that in her younger years, back in 2015 and 2016, was actually a supporter of Hillary Clinton. She was not a supporter of Donald Trump, but she seized on an opportunity, fixed up her nose, dyed her hair, did a whole bunch of stuff. She still looks like a dog, but that's my opinion. She's just a phony baloney who I think is probably either on the spectrum or has borderline personality disorder. But this person's a nutcase. It's like a certifiable nut job. And so when we were talking earlier about all the people that were supporting Charlie Kirk as sort of a revenge of the Kirk, if you will, not Captain Kirk, but you get my point. This is a person who, Colin, if you have that tweet, I want to put it up so that, Jen, I know you have a very strong opinion about Loomer and what would happen if you ever happened to encounter her. It probably would not be very good. I would be concerned for Loomer if this were the case, but I'm guessing that one only has to ask themselves, Charlie Kirk's death will not be in vain. I will be spending my night making everyone I find online who celebrates his death famous. So prepare to have your whole future professional aspirations ruined if you are sick enough to celebrate his death. I'm going to make you wish you never opened your mouth. These people need to be condemned in society, and there must never be a place for these people to gather without facing the shame of their behavior. This has been viewed almost 21 million times.
This bitch, the hypocrisy. Do we have the thing about where she was going after Charlie Kirk about that he wasn't Trumpy enough? He wasn't Trumpy enough. There was something, and she was going after him. But now she wants to come. Well, first of all, I'm not celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, so I don't know if she's referring to me. I'm just, like I said, I'm ambivalent. I don't give a shit. But yeah, I dare you, Laura Loomer. I dare you. I seriously do. I triple dog dare you.
Jen and Laura do not live that far from each other. In fact, they're probably...
For now.
Probably about 30 to 45 minutes, I would say, on a given day. Depending on where you are, depending on where she is. This is a person who constantly has to prove to daddy that I'm a good girl. I will do whatever you want.
You mean her sugar daddy? Yes. Sugar daddy? Because she's got to be fucking someone. Also, I do think that she does appear to have some sort of like personality disorder. She just does. Like, I mean, again, I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't, but like, there's something wrong with this woman. There is something wrong with her. And yes, sadism comes to mind. Clearly, she's like just a hateful, vile human. But it's more than that. I don't know. There's something very wrong there. You should get yourself some help, Laura. You need help. You're a psychotic cunt. Get help.
Colin, do you have that other message from Loomer where she throws Charlie Kirk under the bus? I don't ever want to hear Charlie Kirk claim he is pro-Trump ever again after this weekend. And this is, of course, in response. This is how we actually have a very linear type of podcast. I'm kind of amazed at how effectively we sometimes put this together because it's kind of hodgepodge, but it certainly works out in the end. This is Laura Loomer's response to Charlie Kirk having Dave Smith on his at his event for Turning Point USA. After this weekend, I'd say he has revealed himself as political opportunist, and I have had a front row seat to witness the mental gymnastics these last 10 years. Lately, Charlie has decided to behave like a charlatan. Well, you would certainly know a thing or two about that, wouldn't you, Looney Loomer? Claiming to be pro-Trump one day while he stabs Trump in the back on the next. Turning Point USA was only able to thrive thanks to the generosity of President Trump. No, actually the generosity of the Koch brothers, but who's counting? On the 1-year anniversary of the assassination attempt of Trump's life, Charlie hosted Dave Smith at Turning Point USA's SAS conference, where Dave Smith was able to speak to a bunch of conservative youth at an organization that claims to be pro-Trump. 3 weeks ago, Dave Smith called for President Trump to be impeached and removed from office over his decision to blow up Iran's nuclear facilities. He also said that Trump should be impeached for not releasing the Epstein files. You forgot to add that part into the story, didn't you, Loomer? Charlie's played both sides of the Iran issue on his show, as we all saw, because he wants to play both sides of the aisle. The honorable thing to do is to have a position and actually defend it to the death instead of flip-flopping. You know, Jen, I would almost be inclined to think that maybe Laura Loomer might have had something to do with Charlie's demise. Am I out of line by even suggesting such a thing?
No, I mean, she seems to get what she wants. And when I'm talking about her sugar daddy, I don't know if it's Trump. I don't know if it's Trump or one of his goons or whoever. I don't know. I don't know who she's doing what with whom, but I just know they're not tapping into her for her brain. It's not for the looks. So I don't understand it. So someone's getting something from her. But yeah, no, I think that's very interesting. I think she somehow made it possible for children in Gaza, the very few that were able to come here to get help. Somehow her alone was able to inspire the visa removal from those people. Who the fuck is this woman? Like, yeah.
Whoever she is.
Is she Gen X or is she your people?
No, I think she's closer to my age, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that figures. That figures. This is someone who has never been put in her place. This is someone who didn't go to camp. I assure you, Laura Loomer, you would have never survived a summer in camp.
This is also a person who is actually saying, again, this is why we say she's a nut job, like legitimately a nut job. She is saying that Turning Point USA is definitely not pro-Trump. I've been to a Turning Point USA event. It is a pro-Trump rally. That's what it is. You're not allowed to question the dear leader, Goebbels. I know we say it's Barry Weiss. At least Barry Weiss has some intellect. This person has none of it. This person's a raving lunatic.
But yet they're listening to her. Well, maybe she got in whoever's ear was, whoever was, the voice that said, all right, we'll stop giving visas to amputee children that have nowhere else to go because this stupid bitch says so. And so now she wants us to get rid of Charlie Kirk. I don't know. I mean, it's like clearly people are listening to her. So no, I don't think that's crazy. I don't know what she's up to. She's psychotic. This is not normal.
Dave Smith went on with Crystal and Sagar and clearly had a few things to say, and that set her off. That got 2 million views on X. And I believe there's one more message, Colin, if you click the slide one more time. Charlie speaks out of both sides of his mouth. 1 minute he said Islam is incompatible with the West. Yes, he did say that, and that was messed up. Then he's talking about how amazing Tucker is, who thinks Qatar is one of our biggest allies. Why shouldn't they be? Because they're Muslim? Is that the reason? How come Saudi Arabia is an ally? How come the United Arab Emirates?
Yes, Harachnu. That's exactly who we're talking about.
But wait, I thought Islam was incompatible with the West. The next minute, he's telling people on his show that Trump is going to get us is going to get us into a big, messy war with Iran. Well, yeah, he almost did.
You're Israel's bitch. If you're Israel's bitch, then yeah, you're getting ready to go to war in Iran.
Then he's saying he never said it. Then he's talking about how he's an evangelical, disturbing, but now he's a Christian Zionist martyr, perhaps thanks to you. It's not a stretch to think you had something to do with this, Laura. I'm sorry, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yep.
Then he's giving Tucker Carlson a hero's welcome 1 week after he ran a propaganda piece for the president of Iran, who claimed Iran has never killed a U.S. citizen, while Tucker called some of President Trump's biggest supporters dual agents because Tucker is an uppity, entitled, waspy snob who proclaimed his hatred for Trump in texts that everyone has seen. Laura, don't throw stones in a glass house. especially with that face. We're going to show you.
She got a face for radio, friend. She got a face for radio.
Charlie Kirk's messaging is all over the place, and some of us just want to know where he actually stands. It's different every day. And really, who are you to tell me what I can and can't attack? Well, considering who you work on behalf of, I think it's fair to say that Looney Loomer is more than just that. I do believe she's an agent of the Mossad. I believe that anybody who is that pathetic can't possibly get that far, no matter how many dicks she sucks, because she's not that talented, unless she's ready, willing, and able to deliver that message to the people that need it. And as far as I can tell, yeah, there is no other explanation. She has to be a Mossad agent. And do I think she could have had a hand in Charlie Kirk's assassination? She deleted that tweet. Deleted it. But the internet's forever. And when you project as hard as you do, oh, I'm going to go find everybody who ever did such a thing. You know who else projects like that?
Guilty people.
Abusers do that. Abusers of other people will say, I'm going to help you find out who the bad people are, because they're trying to diminish their own culpability. That's what you're doing, Loomer. You couldn't be more guilty on the surface if you tried. This is why everyone is convinced that Israel had a hand in Charlie's killing. It's not hard to see why. Charlie said to Harrison Smith, I think Israel might take me out because I'm not all the way on board with everything they say. As I said last night, I'll say again today, you can never be loyal enough to the genocidal state of Israel. No matter what you do, no matter how much money you make them, no matter how many sheep you bring to the flock, it does not matter. If you step out of line even an inch, you are subject to removal in more ways than one.
Yeah.
And Charlie got removed. And as far as I'm concerned, you're going to have to prove me wrong that it wasn't Israel that had a hand in this.
And I'm going to tell Tony D, he asked if I believe in violent revolution. I believe that violence is inevitable when peaceful resistance is not allowed. So I am a realist. I don't want that. I'd rather it not be that. I would have rather everybody voted for Bernie in 2016 instead of telling me that, no, we got to get behind Hillary. I'm like, all right, you do that. But, so that was the compromise. I would rather this be nonviolent, but we're the most violent empire to have ever lived on the planet. So to think that we're going to be able to change it without violence just seems naive to me. But I would prefer not. And again, and I've said it a million times, I am unarmed. I support the Second Amendment. I'm happy for all the people that like that and want to do that, all the power. I am unarmed. And I don't, go after people. But to think it's not happening when we are the most violent people in the whole world is just very, very naive.
Extremely. And I don't want there to be any misconstruing about what's going on here, because things are really bad. And we should be very concerned about where it's going. Those who make violent, peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. You can only squeeze people so tight until eventually they fight back.
Yes, and we're very armed. And now you've pissed off a lot of the people that are armed. So it's like, I would have preferred to not have it be this way. Right? Like, I have kids. I'd prefer things to not get more desperate and more violent. But that's what's going to happen. So I could either acknowledge it and try to prepare to some extent as best we can for what is coming, or I could pretend that if I just vote for another Democrat, that we'll just get ourselves back in line. That's just it. We just got to get another Democrat. We just got to get it together a little bit more. Ship sailed, we're done, and it's not happening. So that's just where we are.
There was a jet that was...
I saw this.
Yeah, and apparently they are not able to account for about 40 minutes worth of airtime that the jet had taken off. I said this to Jen yesterday, right after it happened. Whoever did the deed, he's probably not even in the country anymore. The odds on that are extremely low. So I don't think that that's a stretch. But you want to know why Laura Loomer is so disturbing? I figured it out. It's because she looks like that.
I'm not going to get into her appearance because it's just not, honestly, it's not the point.
When you're that ugly on the inside.
I think somebody is upset that I used the C word. Dee Dee, I did. I called her a psychotic cunt. And if I ever, like, she is a cunt if I ever saw. In fact, my son would say she's a cuntosaurus.
That's Graham came up with that one?
No, that's Reese.
Reese. And the reason she looks so horrifying is because she is as ugly on the in. She is as ugly on the inside as she is on the outside.
Yes, that's the thing. I don't want to. Her physicality, what it shows me, is a level of superficiality that she's had so much stuff done. Like
and she's
that,
32.
I will observe.
She's only 32.
I will observe that as an over middle-aged woman. I will observe that she looks like someone that's had a lot of things done, and that to me is a sign of insecurity. That would be my thing about her looks. Otherwise, she's just a horrible, vile, disgusting excuse for a human being, and also somebody that is a huge net negative on this planet. So that and it has nothing to do with her physical appearance.
No.
That's my objective. That is my objective over middle-aged woman's opinion about her appearance. Is it looks like she's had a lot done.
And I do want to put one thing to bed before we move on and get to our super chats one more time. I want you all to see this picture to understand who Laura Loomer is. That she is a complete shapeshifter, and I have said before, just like one of Trump's most powerful allies, Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick not only was Jeffrey Epstein's literal neighbor on Palm Beach Island. This guy,
make this shit up, man.
Outside of Hollywood, we all know that Harvey Weinstein was Hillary Clinton's biggest bundler in Hollywood. Outside of Hollywood, in Wall Street, who was Hillary Clinton's biggest financial bundler? It was Howard Lutnick. They say it's a big club and you ain't in it. No, it's a small club and you're not invited.
I wouldn't go. Oh my God, guys. So if you're not looking, if you're just listening, there's a picture of Laura Loomer pre a lot of surgery with blonde hair that look, with Hillary Clinton. It's not a good look.
I thought she was always with Trump. I thought she was Trump's biggest supporter. And you know when it made sense to support Donald Trump? 2015 and 2016 when he was talking like a Bernie Sanders populist.
And yet who was she supporting? Who was she supporting?
Hillary Clinton, the most vile person in politics in the last generation.
That makes sense. That part makes sense. Vile appreciates vile. But the inconsistency. So Charlie Kirk isn't enough of a Trump supporter for you, you psycho. But you, who were clearly in with her just a handful of years ago, you're just such the proper Trump supporter? No, I think you're just probably really good at sucking dick. That's what I think.
To each their own.
I cannot. She's a grifter. Exactly. She's a grifter.
I can't say you're wrong.
No, I am. Oh, I wish, you know what? If we could have like where I go back like in time, like we have like where I could go back to the years of camp and bring this bitch with me. Oh, we'd take care of her.
Yes, he did. You see, the difference between you and me is that I actually listened to Trump's rallies. You know,
he
Bernie
spoke
and I
like
have
a populist, Colinello. He was
Bernie
a
and I have a
populist.
lot of Bernie and I have a lot of disagreements, but we agree on trade. It's really terrible. They shipped all our jobs out of this country. Really, really terrible. I don't agree with Donald Trump on many things, but he is right about trade. That is a big part of why this country is in a bad way right now. Yes, Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, particularly in the summer of 2015, when they were ascending, this was a huge part of their crossover and why millions of people who supported Bernie broke for Trump.
It's true, Colinello. The numbers, there were a lot of people that went over to Trump, and unfortunately, some of them are still there. Probably not a lot. I would think that the Bernie people.
Lola, if you don't like us, you don't have to announce it. You can just go away.
Thank you, Lola. Lola, please keep writing stupid shit in the chat. It's good for us.
Yeah, like it's like when people say, "Oh, I'm unsubscribing." This is not a Wendy's.
I'm leaving the room. Yeah. I am leaving the room. Okay, you do that.
You want to know why people?
Lola.
You want to know why people hate lefties, Colinello? Because of statements like that. Saying that trade, like the Trans-Pacific Partnership or NAFTA or normal trade relations with China, that's one issue. You goddamn right it's one issue. And it's a big fucking issue.
But
and it's an issue. If you want to know why this country sunk into the Trump abyss, that's the biggest reason. No matter what anyone wants you to believe, bottom line, it's the only thing that James Carville ever got right. It's the economy, stupid.
Always.
And if the economy is not working for the average person, they will turn to a dictator-like strongman every time. Because neoliberalism is the biggest failure of the 20th and 21st century political ideology. And yet it started with...
And what does it go hand in hand with, Peter? What does neoliberalism go hand in hand with?
Fascism?
Close. Close. Say it with me. Capitalism.
It's the worst form of capitalism, that's for sure.
Yeah.
How people... They all lie. They all lie. You think Trump is unique?
He was lying through his teeth.
Trump's the most honest, as Jen, as you said, he's the most honest liar we've ever seen.
Ever. He is the most honest liar I've ever seen.
Greatest economy ever. Greatest economy in the history of America. Talk about bullshit. I mean, he is accelerating us right to the abyss. I hope, now that we can see it for what it's worth. When you have an acolyte, as has been described, we have 666 likes. How do you like that?
That's cool.
If only we were like Keaton and Russell and we had 666, Mark of the Beast, hanging in the background. But I think it's been a fun evening for a lot of you guys. And of course, if you are so inclined, remember to go to patreon.com.
Did you run our people?
I did. I can run them again if you'd like.
No, I just needed to know. Okay.
You need to bark at me. I understand.
I need to protect Colin from you.
Okay. Yes. So with that said, smash that like button if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed. I will get you an updated count right now. As of this moment, we currently are sitting at 55,486 subscribers. We are slowly but surely creeping up the mountain. We're doing the best we can. And of course, we're very grateful for everyone who's been here this evening.
Lauren Hutton was smoking hot in that movie. Jim Carrey, but Lauren Hutton in that movie. Yeah.
She's a pretty lady.
I had a gap between my teeth, and it was inherited. My grandmother had this gap, and I had this gap between my teeth. And so when I was little, I loved Lauren Hutton, because it was like, oh my God, her teeth are like my teeth and she's so pretty. And people, like it was, yeah. So I loved her. And when she was younger, she used to have to put this thing in her mouth to cover it. And then when she was like successful, she took it out and she just was her. And so, yeah, anywho, I digress.
We have been truly blessed this evening by the universe, if you're wondering who we pray to.
It's the Kentucky, it's the rolling hills of Kentucky where I am sitting.
Edward Campbell, I believe you're new. Welcome, and thank you for the $5. I had a video with Barry Weiss and some Goldberg cross my feed, and the video implied how great it was for CBS. After 3 days, it had 143 views. It's not what you know. It's who you know. That's all. There is nothing unique about Barry Weiss. She's there because, much like Laura Loomer, is another Jewish Zionist who is using her position to continue to push this genocidal ideology that is going to sink our country if we do not get away from them post haste. That is what we need to do. Ozma, thank you so much for checking in.
But I put it up and thanked her when you were talking before.
Go, but I want to say I love you guys. Thank you so much. And everyone, please stay safe. We are very happy to always have you here, my friend. Thank you.
Always, Ozma.
Justin G with the $2. It looks like he's got Lennon. Longtime Jen friend from Pup. First time watcher.
Oh, hi. Thank you. Hi, how are you? Yeah, I have the Pup chat family. And guys, so, they Punch Up Pod will be going live tonight. This is going to be their first time doing a Thursday night. They're adding a third night. They're going live at 9:30 Eastern time, 6:30 if you're West Coast time. And yeah, we're going to try to forward our people over to them, as and hopefully you guys will show them some love over there too, because they are basically like, we cross-pollinate with a lot of channels and they're great. I just think it's funny that he's in Northern California, she's in Southern California, you're in North Florida, I'm in South Florida. I just think it's kind of like
north by northwest or something like that.
Well, it just seems kind of like, I don't know, parallel lives on different coasts.
JG with the $5 as always. Pentagon has never passed an audit. Doge was a joke to overlook the pay. The second that Doge was formed and they did not immediately, first and foremost, go after the Pentagon.
Exactly.
That's all you need. That was it.
Then it's not serious. Then you're not serious about doing that.
Yep. JG again with the $2. Architects for 9/11 is professionals questioning.
That's
Agreed.
what I would never say things like that if I didn't hear people who know what they're talking about saying that. I don't know enough about buildings and how that works.
Fairly warned. Ashwak Iman. Thank you so much for the $9.99. Thanks, guys. No, thank you. Our channel is growing because of supporters like you. Much appreciated. Teresa, one of our absolute favorite people, gifts 5 Revolutionary Change memberships. Thank you very, very much.
And she's very strategic. Like, that's so, like, on a night when we have so many new people to do that. Like, that's just, thank you very much. That's very cool.
100%. Jay Johns becomes a YouTube member. Yay! Thank you so much. And you look to be a new person as well. We are very happy.
Wait, what's that sporty game thing? Is that a sporty team thing? He's got a thing? What is that?
It looks, no, it's a G, but it almost looks like a nozzle of some kind. Jay Johnson, if you're still in the chat, if you could explain exactly what that is.
Looks like a blowtorch.
Yeah, something like that.
Like, are you an underwater welder or something like that? That's cool.
Yeah.
It's all good mocking me. Sports ball. Is that a sports ball team?
Shows you how much Jen loves it. The only sport you truly love is the Miami Dolphins in the NFL.
I love my Dolphins. Well, but what's interesting, but if I had to pick any sport to put on and just watch, I go basketball. Like, I'd rather watch basketball, like, especially on TV. And yeah, But I'm a San Antonio Spurs fan, so Anywho, I like watching greatness, and greatness in sports is greatness. And I like sports. I don't like baseball because it's just boring to me, and I'm not a beer drinker. And then people think golf is a sport, and I don't know how I feel about that. That looks like boring as shit.
Well, I don't think we have too many golfers in our chat, but you're part.
Well, no, I don't know. Like, to me, it just looks boring. I don't know. It's not my thing. I like football. I like basketball. I don't know. That's about it. I mean, as far as being a spectator, yeah.
Guys, one of the things that also helps our channel, believe it or not, if you can, I know not everybody necessarily likes to do this, but especially if it's 30 seconds or less, if you can let the ads run, that really helps our channel as well. And especially if you're not able to contribute financially, one of the ways you can directly contribute financially is by letting the ads run. That actually does help, believe it. Adrian Fenton, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member.
Thanks
really
for joining.
Mm-hmm. Noah Linden, thank you so much for the $5. Kirk's death was martyrdom, silencing, and a psyop all in one. Hey, listen, man, you're going to have to give me some really hard evidence to prove otherwise. I think it's the most again, there isn't a simple explanation as to what happened, but I would certainly say that the most logical is often the correct one. And so in this case, that's what it seems like to me.
Yep.
And not to be outdone, Shaitan Dadan with the $4.99. I'm a Palestinian American, and I am so glad I found your channel recently. You guys are by far the best pro-Palestinian channel I've come across.
That's like the best compliment ever. Thank you so much. That matters a lot to me. That means a lot to me. Thank you. I feel like that's part of my atonement in my life. I have to make good. But yeah, thank you.
And so one more time, if you are so inclined, please go over to patreon.com/revolutionary change for as little as $5 a month. You can become a supporter of our small but mighty channel. As hard as this is for you guys to believe.
Look, you can't even see, but
that's a shirt. Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, I have to tell you something funny that's kind of like that, where somebody says you're pro-Palestinian and I'm sitting here wearing a watermelon shirt. But the other day when we were at a campground and we were listening to music with this guy, and he's like, well, do you like Dolly? And I literally pull up my sweatshirt because underneath I have my Dolly for President t-shirt on. So it was so funny. Like he's like, do you like Dolly? I'm like, do I like Dolly?
Yes, just a little bit. Just a little taste. Thank you so much for the 2 Canadian A. Jerry, always a pleasure to see you. And a big
Travers both, but I'm talking about Miss Dolly Parton.
Guys, I don't know if we've hit our crescendo for the evening or that if we've ever passed this number, but we have 31 super chats this evening. That may be an all-time.
That's so cool.
Brett Boyle with the 2 Canadian A, our trusty mod. Shout out the chat. Y'all were awesome tonight. And yes, one thing about this chat, guys, even with people we disagree with politically, this is the difference between the type of rhetoric that Charlie was espousing in many cases. If you are of a different stripe politically, as long as you're not part of the corporate establishment, you are welcome here. You are welcome to share your thoughts. You are welcome to converse with us. And we do our best not to just interact with people that are giving super chats. We want everyone to feel like they are a part of this community. That is our goal.
Welcome, Brian Burns, libertarian. We have libertarians here. We're good. We'll work our wiles on you and get you to understand the importance of single-payer health care. You're welcome over here.
Just like we agree with auditing and potentially just outright removing the Federal Reserve. We understand the score. We know that our greatest commander-in-chief was probably Teddy Roosevelt and the worst was Woodrow Wilson. We're with it. We know what's going on.
Maeve, you're speaking to me. I know. Dolly is political like Jesus, if that makes sense. Exactly. Dolly is Christ consciousness. She is. And she is an angel. So, yeah. So, like, we're very open in the chat, but don't say anything bad about Dolly. that will be like instant grounds for being blocked out
If
of
you
this
really want to
channel.
get on Jed's bad side, you can say all the shit you want about her, but you cannot say it about Dolly. That's
about
not
Dolly or Mr. Rogers, or there's certain people, right? Like
well,
if you're going to do it, that's it.
And there's one thing I also want to point out to you guys that you may or may not be aware of. You know, the funny thing is you can never get ahead of yourself. We topped out at about 725 live stream viewers this evening. We're now sitting at 484, and yet that's still an incredible number, comparatively speaking, generally. So I also want to share with you guys, in case you're not aware, I have said time and again that I am with Jen as I am with Margaret Kimberly. We really haven't had any great leaders in this country per se. We've had some that have done some.
You do not get to be with me and Margaret now. You do not get to be. You sit there and talk about Teddy and Jack like your old friends. You do not get to now tell me that you're with me and Margaret and accept what the facts are.
What I'm saying is that there are less shitty leaders that we have had throughout history. But if there is one commander-in-chief who did this country as wrong as any that we've ever had, especially at the scale that he did it at, there is no one that can definitively say they are worse than Woodrow Wilson. And the impact he had on several policies that he passed right out of the gate in 1913, with the Fed probably being the worst. Again, one would always ask themselves, why did Teddy Roosevelt run as an independent in the Bull Moose Party? I'll tell you why. Because he actually ran in the GOP primary in 1912. And you know what? He beat President Taft in delegates. Excuse me, let me rephrase. He beat him in votes. But the delegates at the convention decided, no, we don't care what the voters want. We're giving you Taft, and that's it. And
familiar.
Teddy said,
That's so
really?
familiar.
Oh, really? That's what you think? You think you're going to do that to the Bull Moose? To the guy who probably had the best 7-year run that a president ever had, and you're fucking him over? Okay, I'm going to run as an independent, and I'm going to fucking bury your party. And that's exactly what he did. And truth be told, he had the most successful independent run that any presidential candidate ever had. And one would say, why would he do that to allow Woodrow Wilson to become president? Why did William Howard Taft continue to run for president of the United States? Why didn't he get behind Teddy Roosevelt?
Does this sound familiar?
Better.
Does it sound familiar? Anybody sound like, I don't know, Andrew Cuomo? Anybody? Are we not talking about the exact same thing? And what happened to India? You know, like what happened to India Walton and Buffalo. This is exactly the same playbook. This is what they do. And quite honestly, this is the bullshit as to why we ended up with Truman in the first place.
Again, we should have had Wallace, but we didn't.
But we
got
didn't
stuck
because they're not democratic.
Not at all. And and again, it's the evolution of our country. How did we end up with Donald Trump as president? We ended up with Donald Trump because the Democratic Party establishment, led by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, rigged a presidential primary that completely split the working class of the party away from the establishment elitist wing of the party. And by some miracle, Donald Trump became president of the United States. Do you really think if that was an honest primary that Donald Trump ever would have been president? No. I don't think there's anybody who thinks that. There is no way.
Rachel, I need you to connect with Colin, all right? We need to connect up, and I need you to hook up Colin and get Lila and Pat's directing so that we could forward our people.
Kathy
Polino. You know how to connect Lila.
Kathy Polino, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. We see you in the chat all the time. We love having you on the team. Thank you very, very much. I don't want to butcher this, so I'm going to do the best I can. Imad, Abi, Salah.
What is so hard about that? That is like so simple.
Imad Abi Salah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the $4.99. Inshallah. Teresa again gifting 5 revolutionary change
Thank you
members.
so much, Rich. It's so nice.
Much
It's
obliged.
so nice. It's
By the
very
way,
community. I love that because it's like, yeah, I mean, you know, it's nice to donate money, but when you do that, it's like you're giving people an opportunity to, I don't know. It's really sweet. Thank you.
It is. And we're all playing our part. We have to also be able to contribute to our wonderful people behind the scenes. That matters too. Y'all abide with the $4.99. Judge Frank Caprio agreed is a real hero who deserves landmarks named after him, who showed compassion and humanity, unlike Charlie Kirk, who was a hate monger. Let me tell you something. It is not going to take long before there is a Charlie Kirk Boulevard or a Charlie Kirk statue somewhere in Texas or who knows where. But yes, Judge Frank Caprio, he was a real hero. He
was like the judicial Mr. Rogers. That's what he was like the judicial Mr. Rogers.
Oh, he cared about the law. The law was very sacred to him. And he also
cared about people.
He did. Very much so. And JG 1982 gifting 5 revolutionary change memberships.
Wow.
Well, I think it's safe to say that 36 super chats is probably the record now. I would say that that's got to be, I don't know how you measure it, but I would assume that we're probably very near the top at this point.
This is the best. This is the most people I've ever had on a live stream, I think, where I've been here.
Yeah,
where it's just you and me.
Mm-hmm. I would also say that one of the reasons why I think our crowd has dwindled, believe it or not, we do have a number of Nick Fuentes supporters that are
not for long. I think they might be getting angry at me. Are those the ones that are calling me?
They've actually left because Nick is actually live right now covering Charlie.
Oh, okay.
So we certainly understand. There's also a number of channels that also go on Thursday night. The fact that we have kept as many with us as we have, I think is also, it's also a testament to what we've been able to accomplish for this evening. Now, I will go live on Saturday night. I may have a guest working on it right now, possibly somebody who was actually friends with Charlie Kirk. So I will keep you guys posted as far as that's concerned. We obviously will do everything in our power to reschedule Phil Tourney to come back on. Again, it's unfortunate. It happens once in a while, especially with the old hats. Mr. Tourney is 80 years old. We all know that technology can be an issue sometimes, especially if he's working off of an old PC. We've seen that with some of our military veterans that have come on our show.
It has happened. Looking at you, Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis Fritz has had technical difficulties.
He's been so good the past couple times. All right, so what do we? You know who's here on Monday, guys? On Monday, Sabby Sabs is going to be joining us.
Sabby has a new documentary about Boston coming out. We'll obviously have a lot to talk about, especially her being a 100,000 plus content creator. I will probably take a look at Candace Owens' tribute to Charlie. They did work together for a number of years. Everyone has been sending me messages saying that I need to look at it. Obviously, that's a pontificating discussion, so we'll see, what we can pull. But yeah, Sabby will be our guest on Monday. We need to continue to get the schedule filled up. A lot of this is done on the fly, but we appreciate each and every one of you that are here. So one more time, make sure that you smash that like button. Make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you share the stream, and make sure that you do all of those wonderful things that we ask you to do, because it really helps us a lot. And if you can, please let the ads play. We will have another clip dropping in 45 minutes. I think you're going to like it. We appreciate you all. I'll see you Saturday. And
Free Palestine.
good night, guys.